This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
For months, there's been a conversation about whether or not Donald Trump has the right to withhold documents that the January 6th committee investigating the insurrection has asked for. He claims he has some phantom executive privilege after having been jettisoned from the office of President of the United States. He believes he maintains presidential power. He believes that there's still separation of power between him, the ex-president, and the legislative branch of the United States government. I have been saying for over a year now that that is false. That, sir, is fake news. Some push back. A lot of lawyers on TV saying, oh, well, it could be. It hasn't really been tested at the courts. Well, yesterday, it was settled. The Supreme Court rejected Donald Trump's appeal, putting a final nail in the coffin of him saying that he can withhold documents. I'm going to read a little bit from this Reuters article. U.S. Supreme Court formally ends Trump's fight over Capitol attack records. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday brought a formal end to ex-President Donald Trump's request to block the release of White House records sought by the Democratic-led congressional panel investigating last year's deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol by a mob of his supporters. The court's decision to formally reject Trump's appeal follows its January 19th order that led to the House documents being handed over to the House of Representatives Investigative Committee by the federal agency that stores government and historical records. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit on January 9th upheld a lower court ruling that Trump had no basis to challenge President Joe Biden's decision to allow the records to be handed over to the House of Representatives Select Committee. Trump then appealed to the Supreme Court because, of course, he did. And he was summarily rejected. They denied even hearing the case, which in our system, in the judiciary, when the Supreme Court rejects hearing a case, the lower court, that ruling stands. Effectively, it's agreeing with the lower court. Trump and his allies have waged an ongoing legal battle with the House Select Committee seeking to block access to documents and witnesses. Trump has sought to invoke a legal principle known as executive privilege, which protects the confidentiality of certain internal White House communications, a stance rejected by lower courts. A stance rejected not just by lower courts, a stance rejected arrogantly by Jesse Dollemore. And you, if you have any understanding whatsoever about how things work. Because executive privilege is one of several checks and balances that you hear about in grade school. Like with the writing of legislation. The president has a check on the legislature to veto. And then subsequent to that, it can go back to the legislature and they can override the veto. All of these little nuances in our government. Executive privilege is just like that. It is to say to oversight of the House, look, some of this stuff that you want, this information, is too sensitive because it takes away from me, the President of the United States, the ability to converse with my advisors about matters related to national security. And we don't want to stymie a conversation, counsel from aides to a president for fear that it might become public or be investigated or whatever. There's a legitimate reason for executive privilege, and this is not a legitimate reason to withhold documents. Because the legitimate reason in this case is for Donald Trump to withhold documents proving his involvement with a violent insurrection, an attempted overthrow of the United States government with the sole intent of keeping him in power after having lost an election. That is it. Last paragraph here. The House committee has said it needed the records to understand any role Trump may have played in fomenting the violence that unfolded on January 6, 2021. his supporters stormed the Capitol in a failed bid to prevent Congress from formally certifying Biden's 2020 presidential election victory over Trump. So that is where we are. There isn't a second Supreme Court. The 6-3 Trump broadly appointed Supreme Court has rejected his attempt to withhold. So if even the radicals on this Supreme Court agree, it is settled. Absolutely settled. What do you think, though? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Thank you so much for engaging today and every day that you do. Liking, commenting, doing all the stuff that YouTubers say, like, comment, and subscribe. It's all great. It absolutely helps. It games the system. It manipulates the YouTube algorithm. So if you want to be a part of that, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Tell me how you manipulated the YouTube algorithm. I'm at Dollemore just about everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'll quit clicking my pin into the microphone here. Start acting like a professional. I pledge to you that I will start acting like a professional at some point. Who knows? If I bring you value, if you like the pin clicking, please consider supporting my work here on YouTube. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month. That's 2 items at the dollar store. You could not buy those things and support my channel, help grow this operation into something a lot bigger than it is today. And if YouTube channel membership isn't your thing and you'd like to do it on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Both those are great ways to support what I do, help produce the videos right here. I love you guys so much. I appreciate your engagement, your activism, your organization, and your passion for making America better. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine and take care of one another.